What's up? What's going on? Got some electrolytes here. Doing pretty good. Just got back from the gym. I wanted to say something here about, let's see, I don't know. We're going to call it 16, 17 years ago. I went to Washington, D.C., and I bought this shirt outside of the Smithsonian. And when I saw it, it's like there's like all these vendors out there. And when I saw it, I was like, I just cracked up in the middle of the street in Washington, D.C. And so I had to buy it. And the shirt that I bought said, "You don't know me." And underneath it was the emblem for the Federal Witness Protection Program. I just thought that was like the most hilarious shirt ever. I wore that shirt more than 15 years. And so it's just got faded and it just washed out, right? And so my daughter went on a trip with her boyfriend, and they went to Washington, D.C. I said, "Hey, Gabby, if you get a chance, if you see this shirt, that shirt I used to wear, could you please buy it for me?" And so not only did she buy me the exact same shirt, just different color, it's literally the same font as the original shirt that I bought like freaking 20 years ago. I find that to be absolutely hilarious that there's some guy out there, and I don't know, it's probably the same printing press, who knows? It's been there a long time, but that consistency is wild. I can't even imagine how much money that guy makes out there. So, all right, today on the show, we have a gentleman who is a remarkable human being, actually, and runs the co-host of one of the most influential podcasts out there, Service Business Mastery Podcast. He hosts it with Tersh Blissett. I will bring him on here.
Hey, Everett.
Josh, you're not used to this. You're not used to doing. How many do you do a week, by the way? Is it 2 or 3?
It depends on the week. Tomorrow we have 2.
Yeah.
We actually had one Thursday. We had to move, but generally we try to keep it to 1 a week. And then when we go to events and travel, we try to get a bunch so we don't have to do anything in the summer.
Oh, well, that's good. So then what do you do in the summer? Do you air? Do you put out content in the summer, or do you content?
Oh yeah. Like if people knew what our backlog looked like, they'd probably blush. Like we probably have 60 or 70 episodes sitting there that could be released anytime. Like we could start releasing probably 2 or 3 a week and not get caught up for probably a year.
Wow. And these are ones that were recorded because you do a lot live.
Yeah, we do a ton live. Actually all of our ones that we record on Wednesdays are live. We do them during the day, which we realize doesn't get the greatest engagement because people are working, but it's hard with our schedules because I'm on Pacific time, Tersh is on East Coast time.
Yeah, you're in Arizona. Those are the ones that I like every once in a while I catch and I like poke in and just make like a snide remark. Those are the fun ones. Yeah. Yeah. So you have 60 or 70 episodes that are recorded that haven't been mixed and mastered and all that kind of stuff and released. Wow, that's remarkable. That's
and our recording schedule, like the lives that we do on Wednesdays, we're booking out till April. It's October right now, end of October. We're booking out to like April of next year right now.
What's the split?
It's wild.
What's the split between like because obviously you run a marketing company. What's the split between podcast and marketing?
It's a great question. We're working through some of that right now because Tersh and I have a couple of companies together, one being the podcast, and then we each have our own separate companies. He has a couple of heating and air conditioning companies, and I have Relentless Digital, which is a digital marketing company for the trades. So the split right now it's fluid, but we're working on like certain days of the week of like this business is certain days of the week, and we're trying to really bucket it that way because we have to, because otherwise it gets really challenging to manage all the different things and people and teams and stuff that we have. So it's a challenge, and I actually got a lot of inspiration. I've read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time like three times now. And every time I just get a little bit more from it. and trying to replace myself, trying to hire great people. And we've been fortunate enough. I don't know, my big head's in the way, but behind me, my which shoulder? This one. I don't know how people do that so easily. Like I always forget which hand I'm supposed to do that with. She is great at finding good people. She's got phenomenal people skills. So she's always like our last person to make the hire. And she's done a really great job finding great culture fits and people that really care. Which makes our life a lot easier because we have great people. So they offload a lot of things that we used to do, and it's worked out really well. But yeah, it's a fluid thing. Owning multiple businesses, like if you don't have one business that's running efficiently, don't try to run multiple. I see people. I actually saw a post on the Facebook group. I think it was Tommy's group. This guy's got like three or four businesses. They're all under like a couple $100,000, and I'm like, why? Like, what are you doing, dude? Like.
Maybe he's hoping one gets traction, but you can't, right? You focus what you, yeah, that's tough. So the podcast, your podcast has done really well. So there's, for those that don't actually know, there's going to be people that are going to listen to this on the, on the audio, or maybe later on YouTube or whatever, but they don't know you. Who are you?
Yeah. So Joshua Crouch, I came from the trades before I started any of this. Any of the things that you see or hear today came from the trades. I actually was in accounting. I've always liked data, statistics, and numbers. Funny story. Like, so I'm a huge Packer fan. You're a Jets fan, aren't you? Oh, you're welcome. You can have our leftovers, by the way.
I hate the Jets.
Anyway, that's probably bad timing because they're struggling big time.
I hate the Jets.
And the Packers are not. But anyways, so every Sunday when I was a kid, I would have a notebook, and I like even though they keep the stats on the screen, especially now, like it's a big thing. Like they always show you the stats of all the players and what's going on. But I used to write them in my notebook. Like, oh, it was a 10-yard carry, 1 carry, 10 yard. Like I would add it up throughout the game. And I was just kind of a nerd that way with data and statistics. So I always thought numbers was going to be my thing. Thought accounting fit that. Realized that was too monotonous for me. I did not like it at all, but it did land me a job as an accountant at a small local HVAC company that was about $1.1 million when I got there back in 2013. Very quickly realized I didn't want to do anything with accounting, and I loved operating and running businesses and teams and stuff like that. So that was where the things switched for me pretty quickly. And the business owner realized that because we'd have conversations, and I was just really passionate about growing the business and doing the marketing, the sales, the operations. So I was a terrible accountant. So don't hire me to do your books because it's not going to get done very well. But that's how I got my start in the trade. That was 2013. The company I started for, I put this nicely, was kind of a shit show. I started March of 2013. We had 20 techs. By September, 6 months later, we had 3. And it's because we couldn't pay anyone on time. Paychecks were bouncing. Every time we would hand out paychecks, guys would literally be sprinting to the bank to cash them because they didn't know how much money was in there. That's why he originally wanted an accountant, is to try to figure out that stuff. We were doing checkbook accounting. It was how much money is in there? Oh, we can buy this.
This was in Wisconsin?
Yeah, this is back when I still lived in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then to top that off, that first winter, 2013, was the coldest winter we had in 30 years. So we had down to 3 techs. But here's the thing. The company had been around for like 30 years. They had like 30,000 people on their customer list. So we still got a lot of phone calls. Like there was so much opportunity and potential there. We literally, I remember that first winter. I think it was probably January, February, when we got it was like 2 or 3 weeks straight where we didn't get above 0. It was extremely cold. And we would shut the phones off at noon, like literally had to turn them off to get all the voicemails. We'd have to write all these calls down on the whiteboard because we had a DOS bait. Like literally, I had to use my keyboard to use our CRM because there was no Service Titan, there was no Windows-based thing that helped me with dispatching and all the stuff that you see today. And we'd have to turn our phones off at noon, turn them off again at 4, and do the same thing every single day. Write them down like highest priority, like things that I didn't know business savvy at this point in my career. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to take care of people and trying to optimize routes and all this stuff. So I got a very hard crash course lesson on what not to do, which I think in hindsight, I would never want to go through it again, but was really great lesson to learn.
Isn't that so reflective too? Because there's so many times where you go through a rough patch and you're like, man, I got to get through this. Like, and you're hating every minute of it. And then you're grinding through it. And then you look back at those times and they may have helped to shape you. I know for me personally, they've shaped me. I think that there's something to say about that, right? What's that? There's like I saw this video once. It was this guy, and he was talking about how a lobster, they were like testing lobsters, and they were injecting them with the ability to not be able to know or feel feel pain or whatever it is when they're supposed to molt their shell. And so what happened was the ones that couldn't feel the pain would just die. They wouldn't molt their shell, they would die. And so there's a metaphor in there. There's an analogy in there, right? You got to kind of go through the tough times in order to get through it all. But
yeah, and I think especially today with all the money being thrown into the space, not to fast forward past all that stuff, but there's so much money being dumped into the space. Everyone's got the easy button, right? Like, those Staples commercial where you got the easy button. Everyone's like, oh, I want the easy button. And there is no easy button in business. Yes, there are ways to streamline and maybe get there faster, but we all got to learn the lessons. Like, because if you don't understand the concept and you have not ever felt the pain, you're gonna make that mistake. So you're like, well, what's the worst that can happen? All of a sudden you make a mistake and something bounces, or literally, like, going back to that first company, just to like really set the framework of how bad things were. We had zero line of credit buying equipment. Our line of credit was the time I handed a check to the counter until the check was cashed. So we had to, I think what it really did in hindsight, it created a sense of urgency all the time to collect, not have any outstanding accounts receivable, and always be pushing to get stuff back in the door. And I think in hindsight, it's a great lesson. Some people don't understand that lesson. There's a lot of these companies that do the commercial, the new construction, the multifamily, because I had a boss, my second HVAC company I worked for, I opened a branch for him about an hour away. He wanted me to run all these multifamily projects, which had a big number at the end of the day. Like, it's $1 million, $2 million project. It sounds great. At the end of the day, you don't make any money. Really, you don't make any money, and you spend all this time and effort on this stuff. So we had a difference of opinion, and that's why it didn't work out there. But you see that we chase these big dollar items, knowing that there's a lot of pain associated with that, trying to collect, trying to get the money. And then we got to try to like rob Peter to pay Paul and all this stuff that goes along with it. And it's just, in my experience,
you actually have to manage it even more delicately. The attraction to that is that, you get large scale projects that you can do. You can keep your guys busy for a long period of time. The drawback is you've got net 90, net 120, and then sometimes you don't even get paid until after inspection, and then things go haywire. And the funny part about it is I know somebody that actually tried to do that, and they failed miserably. They were like, it was, oh yeah, we're going to do multifamily and all this other stuff. And it was almost like this commercial, platform. And, really within a very short period of time, they went to go, they tried to then sell the company because they couldn't manage it. And so that's why and that happened a lot in the 90s and 2000. And then all these best practice groups started to train their guys, like, get rid of those departments. Right. And so, but now it's interesting because the ones that can manage it and do it really well and are very careful with it can really prosper on it. It's just so delicate to actually manage. And going back on your other point, by the way, I do, periodic, like, just consulting and advising work for, like, it's really strange. I just get hired for a short period of time to work with, like, a potential buyer of a business will go, hey, I'm looking to get some insight into the home services business, and they'll hire me for short periods of time to just help them and give them information. And one of these sessions that I did, they actually said to me, it's such an easy business. I mean, come on, we've got it all down to a science. Literally said this, said it's such an easy business. We've got it all down to a science. We've got everything. We know all the processes, all the procedures. And, you know, I'm like, there are so many nuances to this. You know, if you're going to talk about failures or business, it's like, how do you backfill a role, right? Like, what's your recruiting look like? What's your culture look like inside there? Because these guys don't want to work for businesses that, you know, are really, in a lot of ways, are barren of culture. I mean, think about Tommy, you know, do you think about Tommy and these big personalities and whatnot? Why do they attract so much talent? Why do you think that is?
Was that? Oh, you're asking me. I didn't know if it was rhetorical.
Well, no, it was rhetorical. But why do you think? Why do you think that is?
So I'm nowhere near Tommy's level. I can speak from my own experience because I put out a lot of content, both podcasts and Relentless, like literally putting this phone on a stand and putting content out. When we have people that come to us during the employee process or our hiring process, people look, especially today, more so than they probably looked in the past, because there's so many places you can find stuff, social media sites, Salary, Glassdoor, all these different sites. And that's the constant feedback we get is like, really like what you guys put out. Tommy puts out an enormous amount of content. He's really gone all in on it. And everything is about culture, team, everybody winning, essentially making dreams big enough that everybody's dream fits inside of theirs. And that resonates with a lot of people. And he's done amazing things for people that are not him. Obviously, he benefits from that too, but that's not what it's about. It's about helping other people reach their dreams. And so that resonates with people, and they see that he genuinely actually gives a shit about them, and that he wants to help them grow in their profession and buy a house and get a car and have a family and all the different things. That resonates with people. But I think the thing that a lot, and it's getting better, but people are still scared to turn the camera on and talk and give the brand voice and show the human side of their business. They want to, put a stock image out or an image on. So people need to see who is behind the business. Who am I going to work with?
Yeah.
It can't be stressed enough. Like, people don't do it enough. I know it's a crap ton of work. People don't people that put out really good content. Like, I don't think they get the credit they deserve. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, but it's very valuable.
For those people that actually don't are listening and they're like, well, I said Tommy. So this Tommy Mello, if you go back one episode, he was actually on my last episode, Tommy Mello. You
made me follow Tommy.
A1.
How dare you?
A1 Garage Door. He's really, he's a best-selling author, and he's built like an empire. Anyway.
Yeah, just search Tommy Mello. You'll know what you're talking about pretty quick. His ads will probably follow you around as soon as you see them.
Interestingly enough, I saw some companies that were posting some really snazzy TikToks about their company, and they were funny. They were funny TikToks of these different employees doing different things, and it really, I think it does humanize you. And I think you're right. I think that there's a genuine I'm kind of scared to be human, and there's even a sales process in which you tell your customers, hey, this is how we treat our employees. This is what we do. We make sure that our guys have benefits and our guys are trained, and there's you add that into your actual sales pitch, if you will, to humanize the company and let them know, hey, okay, we're a few bucks more. Here's why. We're actually paying for benefits. Our guys actually get paid vacation. We're not slave driving these guys. And so that there's a lot to say about that. And I've heard this now from a number, in some form or some way that's been involved in premium service companies. When you see all of their scripting, it's all in there. But I think more so now making it humanized. And I guess that's what you're kind of referring to, right? You're kind of referring to humanizing your company, your brand.
Yeah, you have to. It's the current, and probably at least for the foreseeable next couple of years, the currency of how to grow your business. Here's the thing. Most businesses get a ton of great feedback, but they don't share it anywhere. They're either adverse. I had one guy, he was a mobile detailer, and it's not really the avatar for us. We work with primarily HVAC, plumbing, electrical companies. That's because that's what we know. But he had a mobile detailer. He reached out to me. He had 500 reviews. He had a perfect 5-star rating on Google. He's like, I can't grow my business. I'm like, well, first of all, certain businesses need to be on social media. Anything that is visual, mobile detailing, windows and doors and some of that stuff, painting, anything that's a visual service in the trades, needs to be on social media because people want to be like, expect like bathroom remodeling. People want to see like, what does it look like? And this guy, because of his own personal bias, did not have social media. He's like, well, it's affecting our youth. I said, I understand, but one person is like, there's certain things you either want to grow your business or you don't, and you're going to make excuses. And I understand that everyone's got personal bias.
Who's reluctant? Is this like a certain type of person that's reluctant to do that kind of?
Yeah, well, it's because of it's because like, social media harm it's true. Social media harms our youth, but every parent has that decision to make. Like one person cannot stand up and is going to take down a behemoth that's a almost $1 trillion company at this point.
It's not going anywhere. And anytime anybody searches anything, they're like, let me look at their Instagram page. Let me look at their Facebook page. Let me see their Google reviews. Yeah.
Well, and that was my advice to him because he was in his 50s and he's like, it's getting harder to move around. And I want to be able to either sell the business or do something with it so he can make enough money so he can retire. And I'm like, well, you got a choice to make. You can either take your own personal bias and do nothing and continue to do what you're doing, or you can grow your business to a point where you can actually hire some young kids to do the mobile detailing for you. And, sometimes people just need to hear it in a certain perspective, but you have to put yourself out there. We live in a world where there are so many distractions. There's so many things popping up at us every single minute of the day. If you are not promoting the good things that you do, now I'm not saying everything. Like there's some people that I've seen that, they'll do maybe I wouldn't say necessarily see it, but you hear that they're doing like a furnace like give away a furnace to an elderly person or someone that is in need and stuff like that. You don't always have to publicize that stuff, but the stuff your team says about you, the stuff your customers say, your Google reviews, the things that they send in via email, screenshot and share it because that's the only way anyone is going to know it happened. Like it's great for you personally, but share it with your team. Like I share stuff in our Slack channel with our team. I literally shared one today. Somebody reached out and because our core focus, which is essentially like our mission statement, is to be the most trusted digital marketing company by 2030. And that happens by having great, honest conversations with people every single day. It's one conversation at a time. And the guy just started a plumbing business, wanted to reach out. He's like, heard a ton of good things about you guys, but he doesn't hear that stuff if we don't talk about it. We don't share it. And that's it. It's the current currency.
Yeah, things are, and it happened really quickly. And I talked about this. I'm like, when I started working for the largest company in New Jersey, there was, when I first started, and this is only like 15 years ago, there was like four total reviews online. That company was already a 40-year-old company at that time. There were 4 reviews. There's now like 5,000 reviews. So the way that people do business is different. And you're right, it's like front of mind. And there's a frustrating part of that too, because I think sometimes, like me, I love having these meaningful conversations with people. And I talked about this the other day. I put a post out and a lot of people saw it and commented on it. And it was about putting out content. Like, I'm like, what is content? What is it? What, like, is it a meaningful, and apparently I'm obviously being facetious in a way. I know what content is, right? I was kind of saying like putting out meaningless stuff seems to get like a whole lot of attention, but somebody said this to me and it was actually another marketing agency who brought me in and I did a podcast with them and it hasn't been released yet, but you'll see it. And they were talking about how, they've built a lot of likes and they've built a lot of follows. But one thing they kind of commended, me on was like building a culture, right? Like building a community. And that's actually what I'm striving for. If somebody's listening to this, which, it's been tremendous. I mean, Josh, and I, by the way, thank you and thank Tersh, because without you guys and Gil from HVAC Uncensored, you guys were really the catalyst and also helped me to put some things together and put my thoughts together and really kind of do this. And in a very short period of time, the amount of engagement that I've had on this thing has been remarkable. And I really owe you guys a big sort of a really big thank you.
And funny story. I was making my post today to promote this and I was trying to find the picture of us at AHR. Cause one, I was probably 30 pounds heavier and I wasn't in shape. I didn't really start my fitness journey yet. But I was trying to find that picture of us sitting there, like, because it was like 7 a.m., like the first day of AHR. We're just shooting the shit in the pot.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That was I don't even remember what the topic was. We had a good time though. I know that. It was like the opening of HR. It was quiet. It was awesome.
It was late. It was early. It was early in the morning. What are you doing now to keep so fit, man? You've been really fit.
So Brittany and I, we do everything. Like, a lot of people, I mean, obviously we don't do absolutely everything there, but a lot of things we do. We go grocery shopping together. We work out together. We travel together. I wouldn't have another way. Like sometimes when you in life, if you find the right partner, the right person, you want to spend all your time with them. We're in business together. But we have tried, this is back when we lived in Wisconsin, living in, you can probably attest this, maybe not so much because it doesn't get quite as cold in New Jersey, but when it's gray and it's winter and the sun doesn't come out for a few weeks and it's cold, it is very difficult to want to get up and work out. You want to layer up. You don't want to do anything, and you want to sit and binge, and you want to eat, and you just unhealthy. And Wisconsin is known for beer drinking. It's known for fried food, cheese. Yeah. Like we're just known for a lot of unhealthy things. And that's just speaking of culture, that's the culture of Wisconsin, if you will.
Yeah. It's harder to stay in shape. So you move to Arizona and now you can have outside all the time, except when it's 125 degrees outside. Yeah. And even then maybe you are.
Well, we're very fortunate that we were able to do that. Our company is entirely remote. We have people all over the U.S. Even we have some U.S. team members that are traveling abroad and living in like Spain and Australia and stuff like that. But we wanted to move here because it's sunny 330 days a year. It is hot. It's finally cooled down here. It's the end of October and it's finally like 72, 75 or so.
Yeah, dude, it was like 88 degrees here in Dallas today. Or 80 degrees here. It was 87 or something like that yesterday.
When we were in Dallas last week, it was awesome.
It was 90 something. Yeah, it's really warm. It is a difference, by the way. And it is very cold in New Jersey. It's like 5.5 months of winter. And yeah, it's not as cold as Wisconsin. But I knew somebody from Minnesota who said the coldest they had ever been was when they moved to New York City. And just the whipping wind off the Atlantic is just nuts.
Okay. It's very windy. It's kind of that wet cold too, right?
It's terrible. Yeah. So it's a grind, and it's gray. It's gray.
It's very depressing. Like the seasonal depression thing is totally a thing. Regardless of, it's a thing. If you haven't lived it and you don't, it's a thing. The sun, definitely, the vitamin D, all that stuff, that helps a lot.
So it does help with happiness. I truly believe that it helps with happiness. Like,
it does. Our moods have been so much better since we've moved here. No, less mood swings, just less issues. So January of 2025 will be 2 full years that we've been working out, but we've tried the gym by ourselves every January, like clockwork. It's like, we're going to go back. We go back for a couple weeks and then we just stop. It just doesn't work out. So we finally decided, okay, we're really going to do this. We're going to hire a trainer. We are going to put it on our calendar. So there is no moving it. Like, obviously we miss it sometimes when we travel and stuff, but there's no moving it. Like, it is on our calendar the same time every week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we go see the trainer. And then Saturday, she kind of brings some of her clients together and we do a HIIT class. So 4 days a week, we do that. And then just about every single day, we've made it a kind of a goal and a fun thing. We both have Fitbits to get 10,000 plus steps a day. A lot of times we walk together, and those walks are great because we get to talk about business. We get to talk about life, kids, dreams, aspirations, things, all kinds of things. It just depends on wherever the mood takes us. But like this morning, we went on a walk with our dogs. We went about 2.5 miles. But every day we try to find a break. If we have a break in the middle of the day, we're going to go take a walk, even if it's hot out. There's no excuse. We try to average, 11, 12,000 steps a day, which is about 5 or 6 miles. And when you start doing that stuff, all of a sudden you start paying attention to the ingredients in your food. You start shopping for better quality stuff, grass-fed stuff, pasture-raised egg, like there's so much shit in our foods. Like, I've gotten into I never used to use TikTok much, but I use it for it's funny. My TikTok feed is all like health stuff. And then my Facebook reels are all like funny, stupid shit.
So you know where to go for what.
The algorithms are they're apparently trained very well, where this is the stuff I like here. This is the stuff I like here. But it's just constantly evolved. So now we shop at Sprouts. We go to farmers markets, things like that, to get really good quality foods and not the stuff at the cheap grocery stores. It's a lot more expensive, but it's worth it.
You can also buy less of it too. So you don't necessarily. Yeah. So, I just came back from New Orleans. So my wife and my daughters, they all went to the Taylor Swift concert. It was nuts. No, when I say nuts, okay. How about this?
I don't think I'm brave enough to go to a Taylor. We have a 13-year-old, almost 14-year-old. She doesn't really like Taylor. She's not really into Taylor Swift, but if she was, I don't know if I could go with her. It's just like a madhouse.
Well, I didn't go to the concert. It was all of them. They all went, like all my, So anyway.
Okay.
So get this. So so by the way, aside from the French Quarter and, some touristy areas, like, yeah, there's some shady parts of that city, and the cops know it. That stadium was surrounded by police in blocks and blocks. Find out after the show that there were snipers on rooftops surrounding it, just in case anything crazy happened.
Jeez.
So, and there are squatters everywhere. There's actually so there's an entire like abandoned hospital or whatever within like 1 block of the stadium.
Of the Superdome? Is that where it was, the Superdome?
Yeah, the Superdome.
What do they call it now? Mercedes-Benz Dome or something like that?
Caesar Superdome, or okay. Caesar Superdome. If you ever scroll through TikTok and you like come across like, it's a scary video, they have that like eerie music that's playing in the background. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's like this one track that's like, doo, 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 and it's like, it could be anything. It's just kind of funny that this one, section of dude, as you're passing by this hospital, you can see people inside the hospital squatting. I mean, it takes up an entire city block. It's vacant, and I don't know what it's doing there. They shut it down for whatever reason. It's literally like a zombie apocalypse. It's nuts. So
I noticed that. Did you? I don't know did you go downtown in Dallas when you were there at all?
Yeah.
I noticed that was one of the things I took when I was taking our Uber to the event and stuff like that down there. There's a lot of homeless people, a lot of trash, a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect. Like you think Dallas, you're like, oh, it's a booming Dallas Fort Worth. It's like this hot spot, but there are spots like underneath the bridges and stuff like that for sure. It's gotten way worse since I've moved here, but it's nothing like it was in Austin. And it's, is it worse in Austin?
No, but most of the cities absolutely, like, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, there's very clean, all the suburbs really nice. But yeah, no, it's there's a little bit of that. They had a really big problem with that in Austin, and they had obviously there's different cities and whatnot, but where the weather's nice. I mean, so go backwards here. So how did the marketing happen? Because you went from being an accountant, being in a business, learning the operations, and then like what? How did you springboard into marketing?
So I've always liked marketing. I went to school for a short period of time. College really wasn't for me. I did some classes and stuff at a local tech school for marketing. I grew up in a small family business. I was in martial arts, taekwondo, from 5 years old all the way up until about 30. I ran a couple schools for my dad. So we always had to make like our own flyers and, do some of those things. That was before Canva and all that stuff. But I always had to, marketing was something that was always, I had to do because I knew you had to grow. And then social media came out and you kind of learn that. But I was in CEO Warrior and I just started giving tips. I started deep diving into who were our best customers. We had Service Titan at the time. And so we could kind of track different phone lines and where these customers are coming from and all this stuff. And I realized like our best average tickets, our best customers were coming from the Google business. It was Google My Business at that point. And I'm like, there's just more to this. Like, how can I do more with this? And you just kind of go deep diving into these massive ebooks and YouTube videos and just this whole thing. Like if you ever want to be an expert at something, just spend 20 to 30 hours deep diving and you will become freaking good at it.
So you self-taught yourself marketing?
The SEO and that stuff. Yes. That stuff. I didn't take classes for that. Nobody really focused on it. And honestly, what I realized is I started things that were working for us. I started tracking with these heat map things, which nobody knew what these heat map things were that we show, which is like a red, yellow, green of your Google business. Like if you're searching plumber near me, how do you rank in your city? And so I started just in this Facebook group I was in, I just started giving tips. I had no I always wanted to run and own my own business, but I thought it was going to be in HVAC, to be honest. And I thought at one point I would be buying into the company, the third company that I worked at. And I just started giving tips and people started reaching out like, wow, this is really great. And I realized nobody was talking about this stuff. They were talking about websites and SEO on the websites, and which is, if you're talking about SEO, there are two types of SEO. And this, a lot of people get this mistaken. They think SEO website, because that's what we've been trained for years, is website. SEO is website, but local SEO is your Google business profile. There's two different algorithms. There's two different ways to rank. There are some correlation, but I started giving tips. People started reaching out, and all of a sudden I started having people like, hey, can you do this for me? And I'm like, we can try.
That's probably the way the best businesses start, where it's just like you kind of fall into it because you got good at something and you started, and also you started sharing information and you started sharing it freely. And there's something to say about that.
That's always, now honestly,
it's all profit.
These lessons just get learned by trying, like putting yourself out there, right? Because there's a lot of people, my wife's one of them. There's some other people I know that they will tell me, I see your content all the time. I'm like, would it kill you to leave a comment or a like or a share once in a while to help me out? Because we all know every algorithm focuses on engagement. The more you watch, the more you like, the more you share, and they see that stuff, the more they put it out there. But a lot of people are lurkers. I don't know. There's a stat out there, 90% or something like that are just lurkers. They consume. They don't ever do anything with it. They're just kind of watching on the peripherals, and
they don't hit the like button.
They don't. And part of it's, if you hit it too many times, all of a sudden you train your algorithm, you'll never see baby pictures again. Like, I don't see any of people from high school. I don't see any of that stuff. My algorithm is so trained on the trades and marketing. I don't see anything else.
That's all you see. Interestingly enough, I because you can look at insights, obviously, on Facebook and the different things. And like, okay, so I could say I did a post and I got like 3 likes on it or 10 likes on it, right? I go into my insights on how many people actually saw and interacted with it, clicked on it. There have been single posts where I had 10,000 clicks. And I'm like, 10,000 clicks, I got 20 likes. How's that even possible, right? So it's very strict. 10,000. I have a post that got 10,000 people. That's bonkers to me. Like, it blows my mind. I mean, obviously that's good. You can show that to people and say, hey, people are actually interacting with this thing and they're listening. But speaking of marketing companies though, okay, because this is a hot topic and I've only had one other kind of marketing individual on here. And I know this is really hot. Tell me, I need to hear this because this is going crazy. Everybody's a freaking marketing company. I saw, HVA Chicks, Jennifer Manzo, who I'm going to be doing.
She posted yesterday. I'm doing
a true crime podcast with her, or at least I'm going to be a guest on her true crime podcast. Which I love true crime. Anyway, so she posted something saying like, if one more effing marketing company tries to get in touch with me, I swear to God, stop sending me DMs or whatever it is. What the heck is going on? What's with all the noise? And let me ask you this. Are there popular ones out there that you're like, no, this guy's a freaking hack? Or are there, like, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So that's the playbook.
Hold on, before you answer, Doug Wyatt.
Oh, hey, Doug. What's up, buddy?
Oh, Doug. Doug owns Synergy Learning Systems.
Doug and I are fast friends. I went to his CSR coaching thing in Dallas with Service Nation with Tersh in April. We had him on the podcast at Home Service Freedom, not this last one, the one before. So Tommy Mello's event. Yeah. And then we just a good person. We actually invested in his training, even though his training's for the trades. My team, our client success managers, invested in his communication training. Like, he's world class, and anyone that's listening to this, I would absolutely recommend checking Synergy Learning Systems out because it's been great. My team loves it. So,
I think my podcast with him was better than yours. I'm just going to let you know right
now. Probably.
So anybody that goes back.
Well, you get a little more spicy. Like, what's funny?
I get a little spicy.
From anyone that is on here that knows or have seen any history of mine, I have a tendency to fight with people that are influential in this space because a lot of times I don't agree with some of their tactics and what they say. And there's also, what's the old adage? The winners get to write the history books, right? So these people are quote unquote winning online. The problem is I know a lot of people like a Billy Stevens and these people that know private equity people and M&A people, and there's a lot of bullshit that they're telling you online, and they have this fame and people like, oh, I want to be like them. I want to be like, you don't. You really don't. There's a lot more than people don't even know exists. There's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of BS. There's a lot of debt. A lot of things. They're not as profitable as you think they are.
Well, we know that from recently, what just happened, and so specifically, I guess this is happening with marketing companies too, right? Some of these marketing companies are just absolute bullshit.
So the playbook that gets taught, and there's a lot of coaching groups for marketing agencies, just like there are for our trade or the trades. They get taught, especially to grow your business, you got to get cold outreach and stuff. And that's something that I know we have to do it at some point, but until I find a method that I think is actually providing value and not just bugging the crap out of people, because I see that all the time. And honestly, it's funny because we use CallRail for all our clients. So all the form submissions, all the stuff all the solicitations, we see those, and we see people like, hey, I can make you rank better on Google. I can do this, I can do that, or some kind of crazy guarantee. Like, here's the deal. If a marketing company thinks if they're going to guarantee you something, they're full of shit. First of all, they don't own any of these algorithms. They own none of them. They might know how to use them a little bit, but that's as soon as you figure it out, they change it. Google's changed, I don't know how many times this year already. LSA just came out with another change for plumbers. So if there's any plumbers listening to this, like install toilets.
Why is it because they don't want manipulation? Do they want to rank certain people? Why is it that they have sort of, I can't imagine Google has nefarious sort of intentions.
They don't. So
what are they trying to do? Are they saying because
Everett, I don't know if I froze or you froze. Can you see me? Everett? All right, so I'm on by myself because I think Everett froze and got kicked out of his own show. So I wish I could see some of the we got a lot of comments too. Doug, I wish I could add you on here just so I have someone to talk to. I guess I'll just continue to talk until Everett comes back. So I'm pretty good at filling some dead air space. So his question was about marketing agencies and the outreach and why that stuff happens. And so there's a playbook. The playbook is to do this. And this is what coaches teach, is to constantly outreach, try to find companies that are on page 2, 3, 4, or 5 of Google and tell them that you can do it better. The Facebook social media companies are ones that they're the ones that promise you a bunch of leads, but what they don't, here's the thing, this is what they don't tell you. A lead on Facebook can be almost worthless without a follow-up system. So when they guarantee you 30 install leads or 50 install leads or 100 install leads or whatever the stupid number is that they give you, is you most likely have to build your own system. Oh, look at that. Everett's calling me. This is fun. Hey, Everett. Oh, you totally cut out. Well, I'm just talking, man. I'm talking shit about you right now, and everybody's listening to it.
Like, I can make this call, but I have no cell like Wi-Fi. I can't even. I'm like, because I have a hotspot, I can't even connect to anything.
Not a phone, not Wi-Fi, nothing. No,
I wonder if you had a tower or something go down or something like that, because that seems odd.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, this is fun.
Yeah, but take over the podcast. Talk to everything you want to talk about. I'll tell you, I'm literally right here, right now. I have nothing. I can make a phone call, and that's it.
Okay. Well, I'll try to keep it together for a few more minutes here, and we'll see what we can do. If I get you in trouble for something, I'm not sorry.
No, this is absolute bonkers. I'm like, I'm on different sites and I can't even nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll say.
Yeah.
Let us know that I'll try to get on a little later on, but
okay. It's a good thing. It's a good thing I've done this once or twice with podcasts, so I can probably keep it going. I've never done one solo by myself. I usually have someone I can talk to, but we'll figure it out. All right. Sounds good. Thanks. Cool. So I get to hack somebody else's podcast. This kind of feels special. Hopefully there's at least one person out there watching. But anyway, so back to digital marketing, because this is always a hot topic. And I know the term gets put in quotations a lot, marketer. There's a certain connotation when the word marketer comes up. And I feel like it triggers a lot of people in the trades. And it's interesting because I come from the trades, and I've had to hire marketers, and I've seen all the tactics. I still get hit up, even though we're an SEO company that does our own SEO, that people think they can rank us better. So it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. A lot of it's templatized. A lot of it's hired by third parties. One of the best things that I ever did to get rid of the noise in my inbox was hire an executive assistant. My executive assistant is in charge of my inbox, my calendar, and what I see. And we have probably about 100 different filters, auto filters on my Gmail account, where most of the stuff hits archive and I never see it. And there's things that you can do to kind of limit some of the spam and stuff like that. Obviously, there's always tactics to get them back in there, but the playbook is to outreach to a bunch of people. They know their success rate's going to be 5 or 10%. But if you think about it, if you know your numbers, just like in your business, if you know your KPIs, if you send out 1,000, and this is going to be rough math because I don't have a calculator in front of me. If you know your success rate is 5% of getting people on a demo or a sales call, and you send out 1,000 or 10,000 messages, well, you know how many scheduled sales calls you're going to have. So, and if your guarantee is good enough, maybe you can bump that success rate to 8 or 10 or 12%. So yeah, those messages that are extraordinarily annoying to you are not annoying to somebody else. So they're going to keep doing it. And unfortunately, it's just the way it is. And I'm sure the people that had marketing agencies before I became a marketing company in 2020 probably feel the same way about the influx. Even when I started, there was an influx of some companies starting with COVID. The problem is now the Wall Street Journal and all these things have come out about the space. Private equity has a ton of money. They're throwing money at it. Well, with money comes competition, comes a lot of competition. I think it was Alec. Alec, if you ever listen or watch this, I can't remember how to pronounce your last name. He writes the Home Pros newsletter. I think it was him, but there's some like 90 or 93 different equity companies that are in the home services space specifically. So pretty much HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, pest control, things like that. With that amount of money, with that many millions, and you look at the tech companies, how many AI companies have come into the space in the last 2 to 3 years? A ton. Literally, Doug, who commented on here, we were at an event and we ran into a company we never heard of. They're called Broccoli. Never heard of them before, didn't know what they did, but they had a massive booth and they just got a bunch of private equity money to help promote their business. And that stuff happens a lot, and it's happening more and more frequently. And I know we were actually Everett and I talked ahead of time. We were going to talk about private equity a little bit because it is a constant topic. It's probably not ever going to go away. It's starting to dampen a little bit some of the excitement and some of the money, but there are a lot of good private equity companies. There are also a lot of bad ones. A lot of the bad ones you don't hear anything about because they have good lawyers. They have good NDAs. They have good things in place to prevent the word getting out, and some of the practices and things that are in place. I can't go into too much specifics with some of that stuff, but just know the best thing, if you are ever going to sell your business, get a broker like SF&P, like Patrick Lang. Get some of these people that can help fight for you and make sure you get the right deal for your business, because they know the players, they know the game. You don't. Don't act like you do. Don't worry about the commission they're going to make, because they're going to make you at least that much money, if not more, by hiring a broker. So that's my unsolicited advice. Just know that there is a lot of bullshit behind the scenes. The people that know. And because of Service Business Mastery on our podcast, we get to hear a lot of this stuff. I just know that everything we try to do and try to put out is to help the small business owners, the guys from 0 to 10 million that are trying to make it to that level to grow their business. Try to put out good stuff for them. Try to put out great content. We try to give them the lessons and things that we've learned. Tersh and I have learned Tersh has been in the trades for 20 years. I've been in for almost 12. So almost 30 plus years of experience. We try to put that stuff out into the world so that way we can try to help. And the best thing you can do is ask questions, though. The one thing I wouldn't focus too much on is asking questions in really open Facebook groups. There's a lot of BS in Facebook groups. I try not to get sucked in to the Facebook group stuff, but a lot of times there's so much bad advice. I can't help myself of trying to get in there and try to give people like actual real world advice that actually worked. And a lot of this is marketing advice. I get pulled into those a lot. Find a confidant, someone that you trust on these things, whether it's me, it doesn't have to be me. It could be someone else. There's great people in the marketing space that can help you, but find someone and ask them questions, someone that actually lives and breathes this stuff every single day. Because if you ask contractors or you ask people that, I think Everett's coming back. If you ask people that don't know or they think they know, you're going to get a lot of bad answers and it's going to set you up for failure. So I'm just giving all kinds of unsolicited advice, whether you guys asked for it or not. So hopefully somebody listening to this is finding some value from any of this. And hopefully Everett is coming back here. So that way we can kind of continue our chats. But let's see. Everett, can you hear us? I saw your private message, but I can't hear you. So maybe not. Well, if anyone is still listening to this live, Everett got kicked out again. And he's having all sorts of issues. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy to answer anything. Oh, the man's back. Did someone turn off the router on you?
No. Honestly, there was no cell service either. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. There's no cell service.
Complete blackout.
It was complete. The Wi-Fi went out and all my Wi-Fi on my phone went out too.
Well, somebody's going to get fired now because somebody hit a line or somebody did something that caused the phone lines at the internet company to blow up.
That was absolutely crazy. So, I mean, we're at the end here. But I was listening to you because I was actually in a backstage studio as a guest. And I realized that if you're not the host, you can't accept people in. So I'm sitting here. I actually commented.
I know you said, let me in. I'm like, I don't think I can. I'm just sitting here just talking.
All right. Before we go, I have to ask this question because I ask it on every single one. And I'm actually doing a mashup of all these ones right here. Okay. That was bonkers. Okay. Doug asked the question. What are the best ways for contractors to know if they're being promised things that aren't possible by digital marketers? It's a good one.
I think that goes back to, and we briefly touched on it. Guarantees are fool's gold in marketing. None of these marketers own any piece of any algorithm, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Google, obviously, the stuff changes all the time. Like you guys can't even fathom how, like you guys will hear and see updates from marketers like myself about like big changes, but there's little tweaks happening all the time. So if they guarantee you something, that is a sales pitch and you should run. The people that you can trust are the ones that are going to tell you, I can't guarantee you anything because, and that's having that honest conversation, I think is a lost art when it comes to some of this stuff. Cause we as a society tend to lean into like the big thing that's thrown in our face, that's flashing lights and it's super shiny, especially with all the AI tools that are out there today. So we all want to, oh yeah, we want that thing. And it's, oh, this is going to change the game for me. Well, most of this stuff, it doesn't really change the game for you. It might make you 3% or 5% better. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. But it's just don't fall for the guarantee. Like if they're guaranteeing you a certain number of leads, I kind of briefly, when you walked out, I mentioned this about the Facebook stuff, because this is the one I see it reposted by contractors, or they comment like, oh, I'm going to guarantee you 100 leads or 1,000 leads. You know, where's the number stop? Well, the problem is that, yes, it is easy to generate leads, but that does not speak to the quality of the leads. Facebook, for instance, is notorious for generating leads super easy and super cheap. Most of the time, the leads are very suspect, like a lot of spam. You have to reach out to someone 10, 12, 15 times, or they mistakenly filled it out, or they sent it because those Facebook forms where you like your stuff autofills. For instance, my phone number that's connected to mine is like 3 phone numbers ago, like 10 years ago. So if they try to reach out to that number, I have no idea who has that phone number. It's not me. So like there are things that Facebook tries to make it easy for people to fill out forms so people can do business and get leads, but the leads aren't necessarily the best quality. So the good companies know how to set up systems, mostly automated or maybe some version of AI and automated, to follow up with these people over and over and over again, essentially until they say F off or no or stop. And you have to have the system. Everything always comes back to operations. We do for whatever program clients sign up for, we can have 2 clients on the same exact program, different markets. We do the same exact work. We can get the same exact results. The ROI for one company is going to be 30 or 40x. The other one's going to be 5. And the difference comes down to your business and your operations, no matter what any marketer promises you.
And your market plays a role, right? Like that, it has to. Am I wrong? The market that
you do. Well, it goes back to the principles that we learned. Like, are you priced right? If you're not priced right and you're hiring marketers and you're hoping that they're going to make your business blow up, you're looking at the wrong thing. Like you have to take care of yourself and your business. You have to get your shit straight before you can hire someone to make it better. And all too often, and a lot of times we don't work with companies under $1 million because we've tried. There's been some success stories we've had where people started out with us and it's been great, but a lot of times they don't have they don't answer their phone. Their CSR is and I'm only using this example and I'm not going to mention any names, but is their wife is cranky as hell on the phone. Yeah. Who is this? Like it just, or they don't even mention their company. There's no, and Doug knows what I'm talking about because Doug listens to hundreds of thousands of these calls a year.
I've sat through one of Doug's trainings where he's played that like the wrong way to answer the phone. Before we get going here, I want to ask you a question. This is something I ask on every single podcast episode. What is one experience you've been through with a customer that is so profound that it lives with you wherever you go?
It's funny because you told me you were going to ask me this ahead of time, and that's the only question you told me you were going to ask.
I ask it on every single episode. I ask it on every episode because I would like to hear, because sometimes these things, when they live with you, it moves you. It becomes part of your why, and I love to hear part of people's why. It helps me to humanize them. You're talking about posting on social media, showing the why of different companies, of the internals of companies, to get a human aspect of it, get a human element of it. I would love to know. 3/4 of the reason why I even did this podcast, because I wanted to hear these stories. I'm inquisitive by nature,
Yeah. So I'm probably going to disappoint. I don't have one story that stands out to me. Just because I don't dwell on things. I move very quickly. So the reason our company's name is Relentless Digital is because if I can't find the answer today, I will just keep searching and asking questions until I do. Being from the trades and then going into marketing, like there's, a lot of contractors, and I know this is one of the pain points because I've heard it, I don't hundreds of times at this point, is marketing companies are slow to respond. And it's because they're cut from a different cloth, right? Like when you're behind a computer and you got a bunch of emails and stuff, like it doesn't seem that important to you. When you're in the trades and when it's 95 in Wisconsin, which is super hot in Wisconsin, or 115 in Arizona, it's fucking hot. Like you have to get shit done. You don't have a choice. You just got to make it happen. I remember that cold spell I told you about, literally throwing furnaces in my air conditioner, running, or not in my truck. Sorry, I'm getting all worked up here. And literally running around southeastern Wisconsin, dropping furnaces off, picking furnaces up, going to supplier. Like you just make it happen. And I think the trades teaches you a certain sense of urgency that sticks with you. That sense of urgency has carried over into what we do today. And I think that's why our client success managers, our internal team, everybody knows if you don't answer at a certain time frame, I'm going to follow up with you. Like it's not, and I'm not rude about it. I'm not an asshole. It's just, I want to know. And I set up systems like Boomerang for my email. If I follow up with somebody and I don't hear back, I actually, I met her in person at Nexstar Super Meeting, their partner program lady. She made a comment to me once about a year ago. I kept following up and I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just, hey, just trying to get the partner program, get some information, see if I can get in, all that kind of stuff. And I follow up and I boomerang it back to myself every couple of weeks. And I'd follow up with her and I'd follow up with her. She finally got to the point like, I can totally see why the name of your company is called Relentless Digital. And she kind of got angry. I met her in person and we thawed the ice since, but those things stick with you. But here's the thing. People don't ask enough for what they want. I know what I want. I know what I'm going to go get. And I'm just going to keep asking it. Or if the person I'm asking doesn't know, I'm going to get a name and I'm going to go ask the next person and I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to find somebody somewhere to answer my question so I can move forward. And I think there's not enough of that resolve in people. They get like one door slammed in their face and it just stops. They just don't, oh, okay, well, I'll move on to something else. And they don't continue. And I think more, especially the economic times we're in right now, where we're kind of in this like recession-esque time, whatever we're in right now, whatever we're in. Nobody really knows. And I think people are too scared to say it.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So you got to keep asking. You got that grind, that hustle, all those things. Like I don't necessarily subscribe. I don't work 16, 18 hours a day. Doug does. He's nuts. But
23 hours. He sleeps 1 hour and
I believe that. I believe that. But you got to go for it. You got to keep asking. Don't let it go. If you feel strongly about something, just keep going to get it. So I know I didn't answer your question. But
no, you did. No, you did. You did. Like I'm visualizing you dropping off furnaces and running around and dropping off stuff. And like, it's like, go. And that's impactful. That's impactful.
It sticks with you. And
I resonate with that. I remember going out in snowstorms and ice storms and everything else to, go to people's houses. I just remember this for, such a long time. So it does resonate with me, man. Dude, this has been a really good conversation. I want to thank you for, obviously you're a podcast host, so that's good. I want to thank you for kind of taking the reins there. And that was a new one. That was a first. That was so strange, dude. Everything went out. Everything. I couldn't even get on the cell phone. But I really appreciate you, dude. Thank you to, anybody that, commented or whatever it is. And Josh, so this is the part of the show here where you can plug whatever you want right now, man. Go ahead and just plug away. What do you want to plug?
Yeah, honestly, for me, if you're a business owner and you're listening to this, tune into Service Business Master. We try to give away. We have hundreds of episodes, everything. Like ours is not specific. Like some podcasts are very specific on like marketing or sales or whatever. And there's great podcasts out there for that. We got life coaches. We got marketing, sales, technician training. We got Doug's been on there. We got guys like Tommy Mello on there. We try to really anything you want to know. We're connectors. So if you want to know about a software, Church and I've used most of them. So ask us questions. We love helping. We have a course in a community if people want to learn how to build automations with Zapier and have their tool and tech stack talk to each other. Just ask us. We'll help you. And if we can't help you, we'll point you to someone who does know how to help you.
I appreciate you, man. Really do. This is a great episode. All right, guys. Till next week, I got a bunch of episodes actually I have that I've recorded that I have not mixed and put out.
So you're
there
starting
yet,
to feel that. You're starting to feel it.
I do. My big one now is I got Ken Goodrich. I did an interview with Ken Goodrich a couple weeks ago. So
looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Awesome. Great times. See you later.
All right. See you guys.